This is a Miami Sports Music Podcast Network production. This is the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers, let's go.
I know the whole city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter column. Whole squad been trained to go. Fins for life, we throw the foe. Singing this just to welcome bro. To a time.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Good morning to my Finlaws and my family. It is your boy, Stephen D, and this is the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Getting a little bit of a late start today, but that is okay. We're going to get this thing rolling here. For those of you who don't know, and I don't know who that are watching right now don't know, but if you don't know, my name is Stephen Daniels. You can follow me on all social media at Stephen D SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. Make sure you also follow Miami Sports Music everywhere at Miami Sports Music, except on X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it these days, at MIA Sports Music. Hey, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Okay. No, seriously, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys do that. If you haven't already subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting on, but do it now. Make sure you guys do it. Also, hey, look, if you want to sign up to become a member today, there are plenty of seats waiting at the table for you. I'd love to see you sign up and become a member and become part of the family today. Make sure you guys do that. The link is in the description below. It says membership. Can we get 2 new members to the channel today? I would love to see it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make it easy for you. I'm going to put the link to become a member right in the channel right now. We got a lot of great stuff going on. Honestly, the reason that I've been I was late this morning is because I'm editing a video for social media. I'm looking into revamp the whole layout of the show. I'm hoping to have that up come week 1 of the football season. Things are changing here at Miami Sports Music, and it's going to be new and improved and pretty awesome. So I'm excited about it. If you want to help with, how that is done, you can help the channel grow by donating. All right. Your donations go such a long way into helping the channel grow. They go into helping me get a video editor, which is what I kind of have now. And also, working with that person and being able to do more videos and graphics and stuff like that. And so, trying to step the game up, trying to make everything good. If you're able to donate, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can use the YouTube live super chat, which is the $sign below the bottom of the chat. Or you can also use Cash App, which is $MSM Podcast Network. Or you can also use PayPal, which is also MSM Podcast Network. I want to give a big shout out to 3 sponsors of the show. They're absolutely amazing. ZSM Sports, the #1 place to get your cards, jerseys, balls, and hard to find items. Make sure you follow ZSM Sports today. Lime, less is more events. They're absolutely amazing. Lime tickets. They give you tickets for less than the competition, allowing you to have more fun. Give them a call today at 202-930-3533. And Tailgreeter. Download the app today on your current Apple or Android devices today. Make sure you guys do it. It's a big deal. And as always, on Throwback Thursday, huge reminder, you guys are coming to any Miami Dolphin home games this year, go to Tailgreeter and type in East 32 Dolphins Tailgate, the best tailgate at Hard Rock. I'm trying to tell y'all, it is the #1 place to go. They got DJ, all-inclusive, me, the guy you're going to see in a couple seconds. I mean, it's got everything, and it's always a good time. It's always on point, and it's always fun. So make sure you guys do that. Shout out to Maria. Maria just sent $50 via Cash App. Shout out to Maria. I appreciate it, Maria C. Maria C. Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you. It means the world to me that you sent that. It's a big deal. Goes such a long way into helping the channel grow. So thank you. All right. Thank you, Maria. I appreciate it. I see you in the chat there on Facebook. All right. Couple of let me go ahead and bring in my co-host for the day. We got a lot to kind of get into today. Just so y'all know, we're going to get into some Major League Baseball talk trade deadline here. Marlins made a trade yesterday. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about other people that are potentially on the move, stuff like that. So I'm excited about it. And we're also going to give you training camp updates and talk about training camp and some of what was revealed yesterday, including Tattoo Tua, which I like Tattoo Tua. And, my man Tyreek saying he's going into the Hall of Fame as a Miami Dolphin no matter what. And so that's pretty dope. So we're going to get into all that. But let me bring in my co-host as I do for each and every Throwback Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cameron 954.
Hey, good morning, Stephen D. and the Clock Blockers fam. What's good, brother?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Good, man. Good morning. Busy morning already. Ready to rock and roll this morning?
It is, man. First of all, man, how you been? What's been going on?
Just living the dream, busy working. Got a busy 12-year-old social calendar here, managing my daughter.
I know, man. Kids always take over the world, man. It gets crazy around this time of year, and trust me, and I'm starting to realize that now with my kids. I totally understand that. First of all, I love the hat, man. I gotta get a new Marlins hat, and I want to get the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp hat too.
Yeah, that's a tight one.
I know, man. I'm a big minor league hat. So today I'm rocking the Aberdeen Ironbirds hat, single A affiliate for the Baltimore Orioles. I think I'm going to rock on Thursday baseball hats. I think that's what I'm going to do on Thursday. You're going to get a minor league baseball hat from me every Thursday, or a major league baseball hat every Thursday. That's what I'm going to do.
There you go. Love it.
That's what I'm going to do on Thursday. All right, Cam, you weren't here last week, so I had to have the generic Cam. You're the premium. You're the authentic. No, I'm just playing. I love both.
No, I was here last week. It was 2 weeks ago you had the Cam.
2 weeks ago. That's right. 2 weeks ago, I had everybody calls him Fake Cam. He's not Fake Cam. Okay, he's a man. Show some respect, guys. Okay, no, Cam is a good friend of mine. He pitched Division I as recently as this year. He just graduated from Towson University. He's kind of figuring out minor league baseball, or what is he going to do? What's the next steps for him? And he's a good friend of mine. He loves baseball. He's really into it, and so he's going to join us every other Thursday till the end of baseball season to talk baseball. So without further ado, one of my favorite segments in the world, back to back, I'm going to bring on my man, Cam. What is going on, Cam? How's it going, man?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Good morning, Cam.
Cam, I'd like you to meet Cam. I don't know how I'm going to do this. When I say Cam, it's going to get a little crazy here for a second. This is back to back a baseball segment presented by Lime Tickets. If you guys want Lime Tickets, let me tell you, give them a call today at 202-930-3533. Less is More Events is the only place to get tickets for any baseball game around the country. You guys want to go to St. Louis, Baltimore, Miami, it doesn't matter. Call Lime. They'll hook you up. They'll give you a personalized experience with absolutely zero service fee. So give Lime a call today. All right, Cam. First of all, man, what's going on? How you been?
Good, man. How are you guys?
Pretty good. I'm going to have to figure out.
Cameron
and Cam. Okay, that's what I'll do. Cameron and Cam. Crazy couple days so far, right, Cam?
Yeah.
Trade deadline starting to heat up. Things are starting to get crazy. Everything's going a little nuts right now, right?
Yeah, I would expect the next couple of days things to really start going. I mean, you saw a few trades go through yesterday. Obviously, the Giolito trade happening a little bit later on in the night. So over the next couple of days, we'll start to see the trades at all hours of the day, which as an MLB fan, that's extremely exciting.
All right. I mean, look, let's kind of jump into buyers and sellers here. What around this time of year, teams, we're what? A week away from the trade deadline at this point, right? Am I right? I think
we're less than a week away.
Less than a week away. What are GMs thinking at this time? Are they, some of them, you got to remember, there's 3 wild card slots now. So there's so many teams that are technically still in the wild card hunt. What does it mean to be, you know what, we're going to pack it up this season and we're going to ship out our talent? How do you know if that's the right move, and what teams are kind of thinking about that right now?
You want me to take it? Which Cam is going?
Yeah. I was talking to you, Cam. We're gonna get this. Okay, it's gonna work. I promise.
The AL's in a tough spot because I mean you have 4 teams within 4 games of the 3rd wild card spot. So which AL teams will make that deciding factor to say, hey, we're still in contention, but we're going to sell? Like for example, we talked about last time, but the Orioles last year were right in contention at the deadline. And Elias chose to sell, which, I mean, people freaked out about. But then you I mean, hindsight's always 2020. The O's exceeded expectations like no other last year. They finished above 500. They weren't going to make the playoffs with the where they were at that point. The roster just wasn't deep enough to do anything worth buying and getting rid of some of those prospects. But I mean, like this year, you've got. I mean, obviously the Orioles are now in first, but the four teams that are within that last wild card spot, they're all in a tough spot of. Like the Red Sox, for example, they're playing the best baseball in all of the MLB. I mean, they just swept the Braves.
I couldn't believe that they swept the Braves, man.
They're not currently in the playoffs. But with that being said, you're playing great baseball. So how can you, as a front office, tell your manager and tell your players like, hey, look, guys, we're not going for it. So, it's just it's a really tough decision for the front office to have to make, but. Obviously, with there being three teams, there's going to be a lot of teams left out, and it's gonna shake out like crazy over the next couple months.
Are you a fan of the three wild card slots because it makes it? I feel like it makes it less fun at trade deadline time because more teams are not willing to sell.
Yeah, I mean, I think like everyone's saying if you look on Twitter, I mean, this deadline could be crazy. Like. Some teams may make no moves. I mean, you've got the Angels are currently the leaders at the deadline. I mean, they just got the guy. Giolito was said to be the guy to get this deadline. Angels are 4.5 games out of that last wild card spot, and they're the one making all the moves. So it's just such a weird time in baseball, especially with the three wild cards, because especially in the American League, you've got a lot of teams with a shot to actually do something.
Cameron?
And to expound upon what Cam's saying, like Ohtani's the 600-pound gorilla, right? Like whatever the Angels were going to decide to do with him was going to dictate what the rest of the market was going to look like. And so, yesterday the Angels came out and publicly said they're not going to trade Ohtani. They're going to, go all in. And as they should, in my opinion. You invested all this money in, the premier player in major leagues. And you're 4 games out or whatever it is, you kind of owe it to the fans. And Marino, their owner, has gone on record in saying like he wants to, build a playoff team. And so whether Ohtani stays after this season or not, they're close enough to really invest. So you see right after that statement made, them go out and get probably the second best player available on the market in Giolito and a really key bullpen arm in Reynoso. Along in that trade. And for a couple players, their number 3 prospect in the White Sox and a top 100 player, I think it was good for both sides. But if I could, my opinion on the current trade market is like you've got all these teams in contention. You're going to see a lot of teams in contention trading with each other. You saw Rosario shipped off to the Dodgers, which was kind of surprising to me, because Cleveland's still in the hunt. But they're getting back Syndergaard, which is a need for them, a stretch bullpen arm. So, it's going to be interesting. You're going to see a lot of moves, minor moves, I think, like the ones we saw yesterday, and teams trading within, contending teams trading with each other.
All right, Cam, let's kind of talk about some trades that have already happened. One of them, obviously, this being Miami sports music. We got to talk about the one that went down yesterday. Jorge Lopez coming to Miami and Dylan Floro heading to Minnesota. Tell us a little bit about this trade.
Yeah, I mean, I think for both guys, it's really just a change of scenery. It's a pretty even trade for both organizations. I mean, I, as an Orioles fan, witnessed Lopez's first half last year, just absolute domination, really fun to watch. He's just a really good guy to have like on your team, obviously. But it's weird because, like Cameron was just saying, I mean, it's both teams that are contending for the playoffs. So it's weird to just see, 2 teams with the same goal be trading with each other. But I mean, both of their ERAs are a little bit higher than they would have hoped preseason wise, but I mean, it's really just a change of scenery. They've both got electric stuff. Lopez's walk rates are still way down, but he's just kind of been prone to give up the long ball. So you see the inflated ERA, but I mean, with a change of scenery, I think, his stuff is so electric. I think he'll be fine. So I think the Marlins win that trade. It's exciting for the Marlins to be in contention at this time and to be buyers. So it's super exciting.
And plus, Lopez comes with an extra year of team control. I think that factors in for the Marlins greatly.
Let's talk about the Dodgers real quick, because obviously being in the National League, the Marlins, Dodgers are kind of always there at the end. They're always contenders. They made a couple of trades in the last few days. Obviously, the Dodgers acquired Kiki Hernandez from the Boston Red Sox, letting go of Nick Robertson and Justin Hedgeman. I think I said his last name right. If I didn't, I apologize. But they also acquired Rosario yesterday. Tell us a little bit about what the Dodgers have done. And why do they seem to always make trades around the trade deadline, and it works out for them, it seems like?
Well, let me take that. Kiki, had probably his best years in LA, and he's a fan favorite. And it's more about, I think, fortifying the locker room and the culture there than anything else. And, he's, along with Chris Taylor, a key piece that can step into multiple positions and perform. And then Rosario, steps right into the starting shortstop role, which is key for them, because I think last night Mookie Betts started at short, which
I feel like that man has played everywhere.
He's probably one of the
He's
top
amazing.
three.
It's insane what he's able to do.
Top 3 athletes in Major League Baseball. He's crazy how athletic and versatile that guy is. But, to your point, the Dodgers keep doing Dodger things, and they run a great organization.
You want to expand upon that a little bit? Do you think the Dodgers are going to make any other moves, Cam?
Yeah, I mean, like Cameron was just saying, you got to give credit to the Dodgers. It's a great organization. They're in it every single year. I mean, for the majority of the first half, they weren't in first place, and then it's not even talked about anymore. They're already in first place. They have like a 2-game lead on the Giants, or it may be more than that. Like, they were in second place almost the entire first half. They're already in first place. They're making the moves at the deadline. The Rosario trade, I think, is a good trade. They need middle infield help. And like Cameron was just saying, I mean, you get a starting shortstop right off the bat. So, and to acquire Kiki Hernandez, it's a clubhouse guy, it's a culture guy. So, I mean,
I was surprised Boston let him go, to be perfectly fair. I was very surprised.
Yeah, I mean, he was not having a great year in Boston. I mean, I saw some Boston friends.
But there are plenty of good players that have played for Boston that have had down years after having decent years. So I was just surprised that Boston cut the cord with him.
Well, Kiki was playing shortstop, and his defensive metrics were like bottom of the league, and it's not really his position. And Jared Duran is really having an outstanding, season. So it made him kind of expendable.
Yeah, Cameron alluded to it a little bit ago, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and being Shohei Ohtani, who I'm such a huge fan of. And I think if you are a baseball fan, period, you love Shohei Ohtani. I don't care that he plays for the Angels. Well, yesterday, Angels GM comes out and says, hey, we're going to be buyers. We're going to make a run at this thing. Tell us about that. And then obviously them making a big splash late last night. Cam.
I mean, just at first glance, I mean, who wants to be the owner that trades Ohtani? I mean, that you could go down in history as one of the worst owners ever, because we're witnessing maybe one of the greatest baseball players ever. So regardless of, hey, you may not, obviously you don't control him after this
player ever, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't control him after this year, but who wants to be the owner that traded Ohtani? I mean, regardless of whether you're able to re-sign him or not. But with where the Angels stand right now, I mean, they're in contention. So you owe it to the fans to try and do something. So I think it's a great move by them to go out there and be buyers. I don't necessarily think they're going to make the playoffs, but you owe it to the fans.
They're
you owe
trying.
it to even owe it to Ohtani. Yeah, that trade helps them a lot. So I mean, I think it's the right move. I think it's the right move. There's a lot of ways to look at it. You can sell high on Ohtani and probably get 3-4 prospects and 2 major league ready players. But with that being said, being in contention, and I just wouldn't want to be the guy that trades away Ohtani.
Well, I look at this, and Cameron, I'll ask you this. My thought and feeling is there's a good chance he's going to minimum test the free agency market, right? And so I feel, as having had Mike Trout on the team, for all these years with Ohtani, and I say all these years being the last 3, I think they played. I think they played under 100 games together in the 3 years they've been together, or 2 or 3 years they've been together, which is crazy. So, just looking at that, I feel like he's going to be like, I need to go somewhere that knows how to win, because the Angels ain't it. So, if he walks and signs with the Seattle Mariners or the San Diego Padres or the LA Dodgers and stays in town and goes across town, Angels are going to look stupid for not getting something back in return for him.
Well, looking at I think conversely, Marino just made a stance and said Ohtani's his man. I think, Ohtani, he's going to give a fair contract to Ohtani and see if he stays. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Trout, shipped out east. He's from Fall River, Mass, and he's professed to want to play on the East Coast. And to be honest with you, he hasn't played a full, season over the past 3 years. So, you kind of got to look at it that way and build around, the best baseball player arguably in the history of the game and overpay for him. Cam, you tell me, is he a $75 million a year guy?
Yeah, I mean, I am completely agree with what Cameron's saying. I was talking with my dad about it the other day. I mean, at some point, Trout is not on the field. When he is on the field, yes, he may be one of the best players in the game, but you got to look at it for what it is. He has not been on the field the past almost 3-4 years. And for the longest time, people were saying, oh my God, Mike Trout's going to go down as one of the greatest guys ever. But it is definitely starting to impact his legacy because he can't stay on the field. And it's extremely unfortunate because you can't do anything about injuries. But with that being said, like he's not on the field. So it's really tough to put him in that category.
And it's crazy to think, when Ohtani and Trout are on the field together, the Angels are 52 games under 500.
Insane.
That's crazy.
Two best players in baseball in the last 50 years, and they have a losing record together. That's sad.
Crazy.
All right, back-to-back a baseball segment. Myself, Stephen Daniels, host of Clock Blockers, the #1 Miami fan morning show here. Cameron 954 from East 32 Dolphins Tailgates, and my man Cam C, former Division I relief pitcher. All right, let's talk a little bit about the rest of the NL East, Cam. Marlins are sitting 10.5 games out of first, but they're right there in the thick of it with the wild card, right? So looking at the rest of the NL East, the Phillies, the Braves obviously being in first, the Mets, who knows what the Mets are going to do, right? What are your thoughts about any of these other teams either being buyers or sellers at the trade deadline? And what do you think that these teams could go after or do?
I would say obviously the Phillies and the Marlins it's an uphill battle with the Braves. You're not going to catch them, in my opinion. They're the Braves are the best team in baseball. But if you're the Marlins, you're in a good spot. You've got a really good farm system. You've got really good guys on your major league roster. It was so cool to see Alcantara go complete game yesterday. His roller coaster of a year. People don't realize the mental toll that is of, he was the greatest pitcher in baseball last year, and this year he has he just has not been good. And people don't realize like the mental toll that just takes on you and the ups and downs and just how much it really affects your daily life. So to see if we could see him, reach where he was last year, the Marlins are dangerous. They've got a good enough offense and the arms they have are really, really good. So, I don't know what their plan is with Yuri Perez. I'm assuming he'll be back up shortly to kind of make that chase. So, the Marlins have the guys to do it.
Cameron, who do you want to see the Marlins? Are they going to make another trade? And if so, what do you want to see, Cameron?
I would expect them to make another trade. They're a half game out of the third wild card spot as of today. And, they've got kind of an easier schedule coming up over the next month, so they could make some moves. I think it's encouraging for the Marlins to see the White Sox sell Giolito because that means they're open to trading Robert, maybe Berger.
Could you imagine Luis Robert in a Marlins uniform? Let's go, cuz.
There's Lance Lynn. There's a couple relievers on that team that are really good. You got Dylan Cease that could bring back a good.
Dylan Cease is going to get moved. He's going to get moved.
I would expect, Kim Ng, listen. The Marlins are in the same division as two teams that spent over $300 million in payroll, in the Phillies and the Mets. And then you have the Braves, who are arguably the best team in baseball. So when you have an opportunity to get in the playoffs, I think you do anything to get into the playoffs, because once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen, especially with the Marlins pitching staff.
Yep.
All right, Cam, we have some people in the chat that are Chicago Cubs fan, including the guy that's really on here in the back, in the middle here. He loves to fly the W. He's from Chicago. Let's talk about the Cubs and the White Sox, man. What are the Cubs going to do at the trade deadline? And you know, I know obviously, you know, Cameron just touched on the White Sox selling. Where did the end of after the Cubs, after your view of the Cubs? Tell me where you think Dylan Cease ends up, by the way, with the White Sox.
I mean, the Cubs are, I think they're 4.5 games out, which once again, with having 3 wild cards, you're in a tough spot. What do you do? What's the front office do? But I mean, the 2 names that have been on the block, I mean, for the past month have been both Stroman and Bellinger. And there was talks of Bellinger getting moved to the Marlins. So, which is a super interesting thing, because like we're saying, like Cameron has said, like you're going to see a lot of trades go down with teams that are in contention. They're going to be trading with each other. So that's already weird. I mean, sure, we've seen that before, but it's gonna really be weird this year with the added wild card team. So I don't think the Cubs, I hate to say it, I don't think the Cubs are going to make the playoffs. And I would probably move on.
Level
from
2 dude
both.
is not happy with you, Cam, just so you know. Beware.
I know. I would probably move on from both Stroman and Bellinger, because they both can test the market next year, and they're both going to demand a whole bunch more money.
Why not get something in return and build up your farm?
So sell high. I mean, but the Cubs are in such a weird spot, because they're playing really good baseball, but you could sell high on both those guys, and they do somewhat already have a pretty good farm system. I mean, their first round draft pick, Matt Shaw, who I played against in college multiple times, like he's going to fit into that really, really good middle infield in their farm system, and he's going to kind of soar up through the rankings. But when you've got Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson and Nick Madrigal and all these guys in the system, I mean, the Cubs' future is great.
Level 2 Noob has something to say to you. This guy clearly should stick to badminton. His baseball takes are too.
Damn.
I told you he was coming for you.
Listen, from background on Noob, he lives in a market that wishes it was Chicago. He lives in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, I also have when baseball is a tough segment for a lot of my fans. A lot of people come here for Miami Dolphins talk, and that's fine. And we're going to get to that today. But I do have a lot of baseball fans in the chat. And so what I try to do is talk about all these, the people that are here, their favorite teams. So Lewis, that you see in the bottom there, he's a big Tampa Bay Rays fan. Tell me what you think about Tampa. What's Tampa going to do around the trade deadline?
Cameron, you want this, or me to take it?
There's rumors out there that Lance Lynn is on their radar. They lost 3 of their starters earlier in the year. They just got swept, if I'm not mistaken, lost 2 of 3 to last series. But they need some starting pitching help.
They lost 3 of 4 to the Orioles,
That's
who, by
right.
the way, then lost 2 of 3 to Philly. Don't know how that worked.
It's baseball for you this year. There's so much parity. But going back to the Rays, I think they need starting pitching.
Dylan Cease is going to get moved, and I think he's going to end up in one of 4 places.
The Rays. I mean, what the Rays have been able to do. I mean, they've lost Jeffrey Springs, Tommy John, Drew Rasmussen, Tommy John. McClanahan's been on the IL. Eflin just left the game yesterday because of knee discomfort. So, I mean, you got to think like the Rays have
healthy,
just.
They would.
Yeah, the Rays are pitching wizards, so they'll figure it out. But I mean, the way they've been able to play with all their injuries and just the way they go about baseball is amazing.
So Dylan Cease, real quick, he ends up in one of 4 places, in my opinion. Okay, he either ends up in Miami, Baltimore, Tampa Bay, or Cincinnati. You like all 4 of those places?
Selfishly, as an Orioles fan, I'd love to get Dylan Cease, because I think he's controlled until 2025, maybe. So that's a big thing. But I was looking at it this morning, and supposedly, which this always changes at the last minute, the White Sox GM has said no to all teams who have called about Dylan Cease. But
what?
Yeah, I read that this morning. But you know how that always goes with 30 minutes left of the trade deadline. If they offer your 2 best prospects and a major league ready player, and X and Y, there's always a chance.
All right. Hey, last couple of things I kind of want to talk to you about as far as the trade deadline's concerned. When it comes to players and moving around, and for example, the Orioles just got Fujinami from Oakland, right? And Oakland is kind of there's not enough words to say how I feel about Oakland, and I'm sure Oakland fans feel the same way about it too. But just kind of looking at that, sometimes just a new environment makes you feel a little bit better, right? So Fujinami started the year as a starter, was horrible, 17 point whatever ERA, and then in May goes to the bullpen, and he's been lights out since May for the most part, right? When you see a pitcher like Fujinami, now he's in Baltimore, knowing Baltimore needs some starting pitching, and they need help in the relief and the bullpen too. Could you see them going to somebody like that and saying, hey, why don't you go back to a starter role and see if we can spot start you and see how you do in a spot start? No? Okay. I mean, look,
because he was pretty dismal as a starting pitcher this year for Oakland. And when they moved him to the bullpen is when he elevated his fastball. He's got more spin rate on his curve. And
you know who it reminded me of?
What?
1995.
Were you even born then, Steven?
I was. Mariano Rivera. Mariano Rivera started his career as a starting pitcher for the Yankees and was horrible. And they moved him down.
You're going to get canceled in no time if you're comparing those two pitchers.
Well, no, what I'm saying is he started out as he was this young, phenom, and there was a lot of hype around him. He comes into the majors as a starter and is atrocious, but goes to the bullpen and eventually becomes the greatest closer of all time. I'm not saying Fujinami is going to be the greatest closer of all time, but it's so crazy. And Cam, you can probably admit to this as a relief pitcher in Division I. There are some pitchers that can do 5 or 6 innings and go through the lineup 3 or 4 times. And then there's relief pitchers like yourself that, you know what, give me 3 or 4 batters, 3 to 6 batters, and I'm good. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. As a starter, he's come out and said this. He was throwing like 5 different pitches, 5 to 6 different pitches. And then as a reliever, they were like, hey, look, we're just going to have you focus on your fastball and your splitter and a mix of your curveball or your slider. Like, we're going to focus on 2 to 3 pitches. And I mean, as a reliever, you can get away with 2 to 3 pitches because you're in there for a shorter period of time. I mean, as a starter, if you're going to face a lineup 3 times, you need to have everything working. And that's why, I mean, it's so hard to even get out of the 5th inning nowadays, just because the way lineups are built. And, the scouting departments and all the data you have on this and tendencies and trends and stuff like that. So as a reliever, if Fuji just focuses on his fastball that's 99 to 102 and his splitter, I mean, he throws a 93 mile per hour splitter. I mean, that's unbelievable. A lot of guys throw 93 mile per hour fastballs. So, I mean, to see his first 2 outings were a little bit shaky. Then his last outing against the Phillies was 6 up, 6 down, just super electric. I mean, the Orioles have a great analytics team, so they're going to be working with him, and it's going to be cool to watch, because I think it's going to really help the O's, because the O's, they have Felix Bautista, but they need some bullpen help. So I think he's going to deliver.
Last question I have for both of you: St. Louis Cardinals, Nolan Arenado, does he get moved? Neither one of you want to take this one?
Listen, I'll jump in, because I think the Cardinals could be sellers and still be in contention. They're
insane to think.
If they, let's say hypothetically, they hold on to Goldschmidt and Arenado, the pieces they have to move is the glut of really strong outfielders that they have. Whether it's Carlson, who's their starter, or Burleson, who's a DH right fielder. I can't remember. Gorman is another one. But
you got Tyler O'Neill as well.
Tyler O'Neill, but I think they're going to keep Tyler O'Neill, because he's, you're not really going to get the return you could get for him because he's been out.
Yes.
And he was an MVP caliber player a couple of years ago or last year. So I think the players that they do move are pitchers like Stratton, maybe Flaherty, and DeJong, their shortstop, because they have players that can fill in right behind them and not lose a beat.
Is there any big names that I didn't say that are probably going to get moved at the trade deadline? Either one of you?
I think Tim Anderson is a potential guy to get moved. He's having an atrocious year, but I mean, historically he is one of the best hitters in baseball, but he's hitting like I think he's hitting like 230s. So he could be a guy that's a change of scenery type guy. I mean, I remember the clip that went around Twitter.
Oh,
did the internet monster get Cam?
No, he got snapped up.
What about you, Cam?
Hey, so I look at the Yankees. I look at the Yankees, right? The Yankees are, let me see here, 2.5 games out.
Mm-hmm.
But they're, behind the Red Sox, behind Tampa Bay in their own division, 2.5 games out of the wild card. Do they sell somebody like Stanton? Because he's not really contributing.
I had this conversation with a friend of mine the other night, and I said, Yankees could sell. Like, let them really start losing now.
But they're only 2.5 games out, so
it's weird. The Yankees could sell in a way and still contend. Like selling Stanton, he's another guy who struggles to stay on the field.
Fan base and then still
listen, there isn't a Yankee fan that I know that wants Stanton around. Like the guy can't even run.
So here's a question, Cameron: where does Stanton end up? What are some teams that would go after him?
He is exactly the type of move that the Marlins would make, and it would just be like such a defeating move. Like you trade back for a guy you never should have traded away in the first place, and he's on the downside of his career, and expect him to get you to the playoffs. That's exactly a Marlins move.
That would be a Marlins thing to
do. Who knows, but you asked for a big name, and he's a big name that I could see moved. Joey Gallo is another one.
I could see Verlander getting moved.
Man, that's a hefty contract he signed. $33 million a year, I believe. $32 million.
I was thinking that, but I was like, who's taking on that contract?
Yeah, I mean, there's talks of Scherzer maybe getting moved. He's only owed $15 million post All-Star break, so a team could take that on. But I mean, his option next year is for like $44 million.
Right.
And a team like the Orioles can.
So a big market team, or somebody like in a secondary big market team like Texas Rangers, who are clearly the best team or one of the best teams in the American League, could take on a contract like that, knowing DeGrom is not going to be back next year.
Yep.
Hey, I have a question for you guys, real quick. So in football, when a leaving free agent leaves, you get compensation picks back in return. Should baseball adopt that? Because I feel like more teams would be like, let's give the Shohei Ohtani, for example, right? I know he's not going to get moved, but let's say he did get moved to a small market team. Maybe they're more inclined to move him because, okay, even if he doesn't resign, we're guaranteed to get a top 5 pick next year. We're guaranteed to get a top 10, something of that nature, right? Of how good the player is. I don't know how you would go about doing it in Major League Baseball, but should Major League Baseball adopt something like that?
I know there's something. I don't quote me on this, but I know if you avoid arbitration or if you extend a qualifying offer and then you go sign elsewhere, you do get a draft pick. I don't know the exact nature of the rules, but I know in some terms of free agency, there is ways to get a draft pick back.
Yeah, I think you have to have so much tenure in the league too, and be a first-time free agent. But it's really contrived. That Major League Baseball Players Union has such a contrived, weird contract status, and it's separate from minor league baseball, which, there's compensatory picks if you don't sign your first-round draft pick. Like it's crazy.
Cam and I have talked about minor league baseball players and Major League Baseball players, and there's a big difference between the two. Just a little bit of a difference. Just a little bit.
For sure.
All right, Cam. We're going to see you in 2 weeks, man. And by that time, trade deadline will be over. We'll be into everything. Tell the people where they can find you, man. And if you haven't really made a decision on what the next move for you is yet. So,
I'm definitely. I'm being a little patient on the next move. I just want to be doing something that I enjoy. So that's kind of where I'm at. But if you guys want to, I'm active on Twitter and Instagram, both just Cam_Clark5, and then I will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Cam, thank you so much for coming on, man. We love having you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Good seeing you, Cam.
Man, I love baseball talk. It's always one of my favorite segments. any last things about baseball before we move on to Dolphins?
No, because I think the chat's blowing up. So the trade deadline's Tuesday. You've got a lot of teams that are going to make decisions on how they play over the next 3 days, on whether they're going to be buyers and sellers. I think the Marlins are in that boat. I think the Phillies are in that boat. The Red Sox, Yankees, Mariners, and Cardinals are all in that boat in the American League. The Reds, Diamondbacks, Cubs, Marlins, maybe the Padres. I doubt the Mets make any moves to acquire talent. I think you'll see, those teams make decisions over the weekend. So it's going to be exciting. You can see some big names being moved, and we'll take it from there next week.
Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. If you haven't done so already, hit the like button, okay? Hit it, man. Only 19 likes. Hit it. Tell the people we're not talking baseball anymore. We're talking football, okay? I know some of you are like, all right, thank God baseball's – look, we're talking football now. We're talking what you guys came here for. A lot of you came here for. All right.
After life.
Let's get into this, man. First things first. Dalvin Cook.
What did I tell you?
You, sir, nailed that. You said not gonna sign here. He'll be a Jet. You called it. You said that was gonna happen weeks ago, and here we are on July 27th, few days into training camp, and he's touring the facility as we speak right now of the New York Jets.
Not less than 14, 16 hours, 24 hours, let's say, then, Aaron Rodgers takes a $35 million haircut to create cap space.
Do you think it was a direct result of getting somebody like him?
I think it's an opportunity.
Dalvin, I mean.
It created an opportunity to bring in Dalvin. And secondly, don't forget, Nyheim Hines is done for the season, who is, a running back on their team and they're a return specialist.
Well, no, that's in Buffalo. Not in New York.
I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have my teams mixed up. But Carter.
But to be fair, more teams are now. It's looking like, okay, if we're gonna strike while the iron's hot, we need to do it now, because if more injuries happen, and there's going to be more teams that might want to vie for Dalvin's services. So we need.
Listen, I'll go back to what I said last week. Dalvin Cook, really wants to play in Miami. Miami just doesn't have the cap space to accommodate what his asking price is. It also didn't help that Saquon Barkley signed a 1-year tender for $11 million or $12 million with a $2 million signing bonus up front. And so that kind of priced the Dolphins out of the Dalvin Cook sweepstakes. And then, like I said, Rodgers, took that pay cut yesterday. I think it's to directly affect the Dalvin Cook negotiations.
So Dalvin Cook an hour ago tweeted, and I can't show the tweet because it's video, but he tweeted heading to the airport and then a video underneath of it. And what do you think that video was, Cameron?
I didn't see it, so I don't know.
It is Dalvin Cook running 50-plus yards on the Dolphins for a touchdown. Just saying. Heading to the airport is he saying something? Is he pissed off at the Dolphins about something? Is he going to try to run it down our throat 2 times a year? Is he pissed off at us?
110%. Listen, you saw what that man did, as a Minnesota Viking here in his home stadium. He was so jacked up, juiced to play here in front of his hometown, fans, his family, on the field that he played on in high school. Come on, man. It was a no-brainer. And I'm already talking, about Dalvin Cook in past tense. And he hasn't even signed with the Jets. But come on, man.
Well, it's a no-brainer. They're not letting him leave that building, in my opinion.
100%.
They'd be stupid, too.
Hey, I want to shout out Chef Chew. Good morning. I got your text yesterday. I appreciate your text. I didn't hit you back, but I apologize. But good morning, Chef Chew.
Is Miami going to have FOMO over this? Are they going to regret not signing Dalvin Cook?
I think the fans will have more regret than the Dolphins will. I mean, listen, all of the Dalvin Cook stuff aside is that we've got, three very capable running backs in our running back room. Mike McDaniel came out yesterday and talked about his desire to run the ball more. Listen, would Dalvin Cook be, a nice piece on this team? Absolutely. Do the Dolphins have $12 million a year for a 1-year contract? They could create that room, but I don't think the team's willing to do it.
I was, having this conversation on the phone with a fan and with another Dolphins fan, and we were talking about the running back situation, and I said, look, guys, I said Dalvin was probably a no-brainer to come here had the Dolphins not signed or drafted Devon Achane. And Devon Achane here is huh?
Who said that?
I've said that. I believe so. This is my thought process. Dalvin, I thought, would have signed here. The Dolphins were interested, and they clearly flirted, and I put that in quotation marks, with him, and made him feel like, oh, snap, getting all these warm and fuzzy, get to come home, play for the fans. Well, then draft time comes, they draft Devon Achane. And I think that McDaniel is in love with Devon Achane and doesn't see the value, and good, bad, or indifferent, of overpaying the market for a running back who I believe he thinks, well, I already have a young guy here who's got explosive speed and is going to be a monster. That's what I think. I think we need to kind of realize, hey, look, he goes to the Jets, so be it. But we got this young kid, this young phenom in Devon Achane. Kid's going to be good. And I think that's Dolphin. We need, as Dolphin fans, to kind of focus in on that a little bit.
So let me play the glass half empty type guy, because you're clearly your cup is overrunneth with enthusiasm.
Opium, baby.
Listen, all due respect, Devon Achane hasn't done shit in this league.
Okay,
right?
You're right.
Dalvin Cook is a proven producer in the backfield, both from a running back standpoint and a receiver standpoint. He's durable. The guy wants to play in Miami. So there was a lot of positives as a fan to see Dalvin Cook in the Dolphins uniform. You mentioned Mike McDaniel in love with Achane. I came on the show a couple of weeks ago and said I think Devon Achane wasn't drafted for this year. He's a player that, yes, McDaniel loves his tools and what he brings to his offense, because he's exactly the type of player that they could, be at the a base level of Mostert and maybe something much greater than Mostert down the line. But as far as his impact on this team next year, if I'll put it to you this way, if the Dolphins' motive and their whole focus is winning the Super Bowl this year, like this is the year to win the Super Bowl, I would have done anything and everything to get Dalvin Cook in our backfield.
I'll tell you this. All right, here's a scary thought, and I'm just trying to be. I'm not trying to freak people out, but Breece Hall, Michael Carter, and Dalvin Cook all in the same backfield. Do they not automatically become one of the best running back groups in the league? I mean, that's a scary backfield, to be fair.
I'll counter that and say the Dolphins' defense is going to be scary, right? And so,
yeah,
teams,
100%.
What makes the Jets, I think, a team that's formidable is Aaron Rodgers and his leadership, and that's it. His decision-making and leadership. He's been there and done that so many different times. There isn't anything new that Vic Fangio is going to throw at Aaron Rodgers that Aaron Rodgers hasn't already seen and dealt with. Remember, Aaron Rodgers played in the same division against Vic Fangio for years.
Opium like helium make you lightheaded. Thank you, Irving, for the $2 donation. Too funny.
So
go ahead.
Listen, is it a scary? Listen, I tend not to talk about or put labels on teams or groups within a team, because they're all 0-0 right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So much can happen through training camp, injuries. Who knows? There's a lot of factors that go into what happens on a Sunday from now until that first Sunday. So we're all 0-0. We'll see what happens. I think the Dolphins have enough in their backfield to be a winning team and a really successful high-level team. I just think, in my personal opinion, that Dalvin Cook would have brought, I think, more confidence to the team and given Tua an extremely reliable, option out of the backfield. Listen, it's all predicated for the Dolphins on the offensive line. So I don't care if you've got a backfield of Earl Campbell, Walter Payton, and Barry Sanders. You ain't going to do shit without an offensive line who isn't healthy and ready to roll. So
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And to be fair, I'm not scared. I'm just saying it is a respectable backfield that they have in New York, and that's to be acknowledged. But yes, I think our defense is absolutely amazing. And speaking of our defense, this is a tweet that was put out recently in the last couple, I guess in the last hour, by Omar Kelly. And so I'm just going to play you a little bit of the video here. Make you a little. Does this get your juice pumping a little bit here, Cameron? Seeing these guys?
I love it. I'm going to try to get out there tomorrow.
I know, me too, man. I want to so bad come. Allie's trying to convince me to fly down to come to training camp. I don't know if it's too expensive. I want to, but it's expensive, man. Look, around this time of year is kind of when these little things come into play, and looking at the team right now, and looking at guys like Emmanuel Agba, and seeing these guys in here. For me, this is where you win Super Bowls in these months. And it's the little things right now, snap counts, ball movement, stuff like that. Those are the little things that you need to do to be successful. What is it like for these defensive players with these new coaches and having Vic Fangio there? What do you think they're going through?
Man, they're learning a whole new scheme, new techniques, different culture, different mindset. The offensive players on this team, Tyreek Hill being one, already mentioned what a different feel that this defense is bringing to the field against them. And it's all about focus and mindset, I think, first and foremost, and executing the plays that Vic Fangio installs. So you're right when you say this is the time when they go out what they've learned over the past few weeks from Vic Fangio and execute on the field, and the repetitions they're putting in now is what's going to dictate how successful they are come, kickoff time.
Hey, those helmet things that they have on their head, the more protective things. I had this conversation with somebody in the last couple of months. I think that will be something that they do permanently in games in the next 5 years. I think they will add, that's what helmets will look like during games. They're just not going to play. Why do it in practice and not do it in a game? It's more protection. Do you think that happens? No. They're ugly as sin, and I don't know how the heck you make that look good, but I mean, player safety, I think, would come first before anything, right?
I asked Travis Wingfield this yesterday about Tua's new helmet. And so if you see in his pictures, when they're all talking about his arm sleeve tattoo.
That was the next thing I was going to get to after that.
But look at that helmet he's sporting and just analyze and look at the different the molding around the center of the helmet. It's basically what you're describing, the practice helmet, but it's on the inside of the helmet. And so the NFL is very, very particular about the aesthetics, the uniforms, what they can, and the appearance of the teams and the players.
It's going to keep evolving. It's going to keep evolving, those helmets.
My point is just look at Tua's helmet and look at how that looks on his head, and just the differences from last year to this year. What that helmet is much larger, and you can see the different molding in the paddings around the middle of that helmet and his forehead. It's pretty significant.
I haven't gotten your point of view yet. What do you think about Connor Williams not holding out and coming into training camp and being a team player and coming into it. What are your thoughts about Connor Williams?
Pouncey did the same thing years ago. Like, he was unhappy going into the last year of his rookie contract and stated he was going to hold out and showed up, the first day of training camp. Connor Williams performed at a top level last year. He was the number 4 rated center, in the NFL. And so, of course, he's going to try to get as much money as he can, and he should. But I also like the fact that he showed up, and so did Wilkins. So, it just shows the respect that they have for McDaniel.
Looking at this throw here, this was the one that was on yesterday that kind of went a little viral. Seeing these guys when we're listening, a lot of us around this time of year, and it's what we've done. This will be the 3rd year for the show doing this now, going into Twitter and seeing the people's tweets and the updates. This guy did this with the ball or he intercepted. I gotta think that this year that seeing things like Tua got intercepted, or backup quarterback got intercepted, or the defensive makes some great plays and the offense can't get really through, we shouldn't be as concerned because the defense is so good, right? Is that something that you feel, or we should be when we see these tweets from beat writers and fans that are at practices and stuff?
Listen, you've got, 2 excellent squads, facing each other. Iron shirt sharpens iron, I'd love to see the coverage that Holland had on Waddle there. And I love the fact that Waddle kept his eyes on the ball and brought that ball in.
Yeah, me too.
It's training camp, bro.
But this is the time of year where we critique everything, Cameron, especially fans, because number one, we're yearning for so much content, right? And we're yearning, we want to feed that itch. But the other thing to it is, and this is fair, this is, and I said this, I alluded to this a little bit ago. You want to win a Super Bowl in February, you need to win in July and August, because that's where the Super Bowls, in my opinion, are won, by implementing those little things, by getting those little things down. I think people aren't taking for granted. Number one, I've talked about this on the show multiple times, and you just kind of alluded to it. I think Tua is going to be better because of his second year with this playbook and having a lot of the same personnel. I also think he's going to be good because what better defense is he going to see this year other than the Dolphins secondary that he has to go up against every day for the next 6 to 8 weeks? And then, and to be fair, every week during the practice, during the regular season, he's not going to see a better defense than the one he's playing against.
The Jets and the Bills will tell you differently. Jets and Bills fans will tell you differently.
I mean, look,
rightfully so. So we're going to a new season with a new defensive coordinator. Granted, Vic Fangio brings with him a hell of a great track record, but the personnel that the defense has on the Dolphins roster, we're 25th in the league in overall team defense. So just like I said earlier about, Devin Achane, this defense needs to prove itself. And they're calling themselves a top 10 or top 5, defense. And that's all fine and dandy, in August or late July. But let's see, what the numbers tell us, come December.
I mean, you're 100% right. And we know that in order for the Dolphins to be successful, 3 things really need to happen. Number one, health, not only for Tua, but for the team, period.
100%.
Number 2, you need to win in December. You need to be a winning team in those last 6 weeks, last 4 weeks of the season, right? Good, bad, or indifferent, right? And the third thing that I think that you really need is accountability and leadership between front office, coaches, and players, and everybody being on that same page and everybody vying for that same thing. I listen to the Kelsey brothers podcast a lot, Travis and Jason Kelsey's podcast. And it's funny because both of them have played for Andy Reid. And the number one thing that, they kind of talk about Andy is he treats everybody the same way, right? Like, he doesn't matter if you're the best player on he said he came in, they just interviewed somebody and it was in Philadelphia, and Jason was already, a Pro Bowler and one of the best centers in the league. And the guy comes on, he's like, I was my rookie year, and And it was like the first week of practice and training camp, and Coat and Andy Reid laid into Jason Kelsey. I mean, just cussed him out up and down the field. And I was like, if Jason Kelsey can get this, what is he going to do to me, who's a nobody on the team? And I feel like I like McDaniel. He's definitely a player's coach. You can, he's always interacting with the guys. You see it in the offseason. You see it when they're off the field and stuff like that, when they're going to different things. But what does, Mike McDaniel and Vic Fangio, for that matter, have to do to get the team to that level this year so that everybody's all on the same page?
Well, you hit the nail on the head when you get through training camp healthy, right? Mm-hmm. That's first and foremost. You can't go to battle without all your warriors, and Teron Armstead is a perfect example of that. We had a patchwork offensive line last year, and propping up a third string quarterback, and prior to the Tua injury, prior to Teron going around, this offense was touted like league's best offense. So, everything goes from there with the health. You stay healthy, you give yourself a chance. So you're implementing a new plan on defense. Only time will tell on how it's executed on the field by these players that really Vic Fangio's inheriting. And he kind of, that's why, Van Ginkel, he was so adamant about bringing Van Ginkel back, because he fits the scheme that Vic Fangio is implementing. There's going to be other players, and I mentioned Brandon Jones as one, who may not fit in this scheme and that you could see maybe traded or cut. So let's see what the end of training camp looks like. Let's hopefully, knock on wood, get through it healthy. And I wish we could, rely on somebody other than Omar Kelly to tell us what's happening in training camp every day.
Oh, why? Don't hate on Omar.
No, listen, this is a guy who tweeted out and even wrote a whole damn article in the Sun Sentinel about how culture doesn't matter. And this was going back to the Philbin days. Like, this guy's, listen, I don't agree with him. Let's put it that way.
Cameron, you feel some type of way about Omar Kelly. You feel some type of way.
He belongs on this show because he is the number one king of the crop flip-flopper I've ever seen or read.
Omar, you're being called out by Cameron. He said, let's go. Come on up.
Calling all flip-floppers. Omar Kelly, come on down.
Somebody is definitely clipping that and sending that to Omar. I can totally see that happening. This year there's a lot of things that need to go right in order for the Dolphins to be successful. And, looking around the rest of the YouTube community and content creator community that follows the Dolphins, I think the number one thing that I am hearing is that, at least for the most part, most of the community, not all of it, there's definitely some people in the community that don't believe it, but that Tua is on the verge of just being the star in this league. And we've had plenty of conversations about Tua, about what he can and can't be, about his health or whatever. But health aside for a second, Cameron, where do you lie on that scale about Tua and what he can become? Because, look, everybody's like, they see the tattoo on his, the sleeve now, and last year was salty Tua, now it's tattoo Tua. Everybody's got this enamoration with this guy, rightfully so, in my opinion. But what is your thoughts? Where does Cameron 954 fall on the love Tua scale right now?
Man, I've that I've been shit. Where was my cat, man? Hold on, Steven. I'm a two in ear. I mean, he's looking over my shoulder. Anyway, I don't give a fuck Tua, because that's clearly who he is. I love let's stay healthy Tua. And I believe that he has the skill set and the demeanor and the tools around him to lead this team into a deep playoff run / Super Bowl appearance. So who cares about a fucking tattoo? I mean, it's a tattoo that is respecting his heritage, and I'm down with that. But who gives a damn? And it's on his non-throwing shoulder. So, I mean, I saw someone on the tweet.
Don't hate, dude. I love that tattoo. I'm sorry, dude. It just makes him look.
It's a great tattoo, but I mean, it's his heritage. It's who he is. And so, like, as long as that other arm on his body throws down the field, you know, at a 65% completion clip, I'm good.
I'm just saying. All right. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Hey, man, you got some questions or things you want to discuss about the Dolphins this year. What's on your mind that you want to kind of go over about training camp this year, Cameron?
Well, let's start with Tua, man. Let's get in your conversation about his expected.
You like my Hot Take Tuesday thing, huh?
Performance platforms.
The over-under that I had for him.
Yeah.
By the way, expect the video to drop out after this show today on social media. That's pretty dope.
You want me to talk about it or not?
No, we can. And look, it's hot take. You know what? I'll go with you. What my Hot Take Tuesday? I'll give you the 10 takes, and I'll get your side of it. How about that? So over/under on Tua stats and Tua predictions this year. Okay. Passing yards we had at 4,700 over/under.
4,700. Okay. That means, I'm a sales guy, so I got to look at this analytically. It's 276 yards per game.
That's what I said on my video. Yeah.
That's if he plays 17 games.
Correct. If he plays 17 games.
So let's say 4,700 yards. What's the over/under on the games played?
I would say 14.
Okay, 14. That's 336 yards per game.
Look, I took the under, and people people thought people are like, "You're supposed to be this Tua fan. You're supposed to be this Tua guy." I love Tua. I'm not saying I'm the biggest Tua person in the fan base, but I'm a big one. Okay.
Analytics will tell you to take the under.
Cameron,
I'm here.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
I said analytics will take you to tell you to take the under, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that. And that doesn't mean he's going to be a failure if he doesn't hit 4,700 yards. He can clearly win, and I expect him to be under 4,700 yards for this reason. They're going to hand the ball off much more. They're going to put probably give the ball to a running back, 25 to 30 times a game.
I think that you're onto something there. All right, let's go to touchdowns. What did we say? 30? Did we say 40?
Yeah, you said 40.
Over/under 40.
Using the 14 games played, that means 2.9, almost 3 touchdowns a game.
Mm-hmm. But if he plays 17,
I'll say over.
You're going to say the over.
I'll give him 44 touchdowns.
I'll say this. If he hits the over of 37, and if he hits the over of 40, he will be the NFL MVP this year, and it won't even be a question.
So look up what last year, who's the last quarterback to win the MVP? It was Aaron Rodgers, right? Or was it Mahomes?
MVPs. I think it was Mahomes. Mahomes won it last year. Patrick Mahomes, Patty Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, 21, 2020, Lamar Jackson before that, Patrick Mahomes again before that. So Patrick Mahomes' numbers last year were 5,200 yards, 41 touchdowns.
What was Aaron Rodgers?
You're making me look. All right, hold on.
And give me Lamar's too, because I think Lamar had a crazy season.
The year before that, Aaron Rodgers had 26 touchdowns and 3,600 yards.
And was the MVP.
And was the MVP.
Okay.
And Lamar had 2,200 yards and 17 touchdowns, but I want to say he had over 1,000 yards rushing that year too.
Okay, so let's toss out Mahomes. He's the outlier.
Yep.
Right? 5,400 yards, 44 touchdowns, I think is what you said.
Yep.
So that's in a stratosphere that I don't even think we should be thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
So 32 touchdowns and 4,000 yards is probably a good level
to be in the conversation for MVP this season.
I think that's where our expectations of Tua should be, and if he hits those expectations, then he would be in the conversation for MVP.
Let's go.
I mean, that's fair, right? Like that's fair. You know,
I agree with you.
You look at Aaron.
People think I'm crazy. I think Tua has the ability to be a top 5 quarterback in this league. He does. He's got the intangibles. He's got an arm. He can hit people in stride. He's smart with the football. He doesn't throw interceptions. He is great when he is on the field and when he is not hurt. Now the issue is staying on the field and not being hurt. That is his issue. But I saw even in the second Buffalo game last year that, in my opinion, it wasn't his fault we lost that game. He was a boss in that game as far as I'm concerned. To me, forget the 6-touchdown game in Baltimore last year, which was absolutely amazing, and I was there live sitting with Mr. Hot Dog Man himself, Crypto. Okay? But I'm telling you right now, I think Tua has the ability and the talent to be a top 5 quarterback in this league. You don't
end the stream.
I mean, look, if he wins it, let me ask you, Cameron, if he wins an MVP this year, is he not considered a top 5 at that point?
In the league? I mean, in our eyes, he will be, but the rest of the
Hell
league?
yeah, he will be. Hell yeah, he will be, dude. And it won't even be close. Everybody's telling me to stop the cap in here. That's fine. Okay.
I kind of don't disagree with those folks because
by the way, I'm not saying Tua. Let me just throw this out there. I'm not saying Tua will be the MVP. I'm not saying Tua will be a top 5. I'm saying if the man stays healthy, he has the ability and he has enough talent to be a top 5 quarterback in this league. I put a caveat on it from the get-go. I don't think I'm talking out of pocket. I think it's legit. If this man comes in throwing 300 yards a game, 2 to 3 touchdowns a game, and and we're winning games by however many, I mean, this has the potential on paper to be one of the best teams ever in the history of the NFL. On paper. Let's see it happen. Show me. Let me become the Missouri State. Show me state. All right. But I'm excited. And if you want my bag of hopium, come and get it, baby. Okay. I'm out here slanging them bags of hopium. All right.
Because you got a triple extra large bag of hopium today.
Let me get 3
I'll tell you this.
Let me get 3 down bags on that hopium, man. Go ahead.
I don't know about top 5, but definitely top 10. If he wins an MVP, listen, all that matters is if this team wins, right?
Yes.
If this team wins and Tua stays on the field for 15 to 17 games, then this team,
they're going somewhere.
He would be in the conversation for MVP, and I'll leave it at that.
No doubt about that. I agree. All right, 2 other things we'll talk about Tua, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Rushing yards for Tua. He's never had, I think, over 70 yards in any one season, and I had the over-under at 150 yards rushing this year. You think he'll have the over or the under? 150 yards rushing.
Over. Yeah, where was he last year? And he played 13 games?
Like 70-something.
Yeah, I mean, put him at 200. I think that's a stat that I really care less about.
I think I did the math on it on Tuesday, and it came to like 25 rushing yards per game. And I'm like, I was like, in theory, he's not going to get 25 rushing yards per game, but there might be a game he has 40, and a game he has 16, and a game he has 50, and a game he has 8. So it can definitely balance that out. And what you want is Tua extending drives, because I think most good quarterbacks have to extend drives on their own at some point during a game. Josh Allen's really great at it, right? I hate the Bills, but Josh Allen's great at it.
Yeah, but but that's not Tua's MO. So and this is where, you know, fans get caught up in comparing Tua with other quarterbacks. Like, Tua doesn't have the running ability of Josh Allen, so we shouldn't expect him to be like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, right?
No, I'm not asking him to be. I'm telling him to get over 150 yards, but
yeah, but
I'm saying he needs to be out here rushing for 50 yards per game. No, I'm not saying that.
Listen,
I'll put it to you. Plays a game. I'm asking him to extend the drive.
I'll put it to you this way: if we're relying on Tua to extend drives with his legs, then we're in fucking trouble.
Okay, 1 to 2 plays a game is what my math equals to. So you're telling me in the course of 60 to 70 snaps in a game that I shouldn't expect Tua on at least one of them to roll out of the pocket and give me 12 yards, or hell, even 7?
Twice a game?
Twice a game.
So 24 times 17 is 408 yards.
He's not going to do that. He's not even going to remotely do that.
Okay, you just answered my question. But just proved my point.
You proved my point. I am saying the man just needs to do it 1 to 2 times per game, and he's not going to do it every game. But if he does do that, he will help the Dolphins move forward.
I'll tell you this. Like, I think it's a moot point, and I think it's not even worth arguing over, because for this reason, and this scares the shit out of every Dolphin fan, if we see Tua running for his life around end, rolling out of the pocket, trying to extend a drive, we're in fucking trouble.
Lou said, whose point are we going with? I'm confused. All right. Who will be number 1 and 2 in touchdown receptions this year? I had Tyreek Hill and Robbie Chosen.
Say that again.
Who will be number 1 and 2 in touchdown receptions this year?
Here, hit the beeper, because this is going to be a hot take. Jalen Waddle will out-receive Tyreek Hill by over 500 yards. And here's why. I think Tyreek gets suspended for the first couple games of the year.
Did you see the video? He did nothing to that man. He slapped him on the neck because the guy was probably being a prick.
I'm just saying. Listen, you know, I've got sources.
There is no criminal lawsuit that's coming out of it. There's no.
It doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't
no civil law.
Stop, Steven.
The man slapped his neck, Cameron.
Stop it, Steven.
That man.
Stop it, Steven.
Please.
Stop it, Steven. Stop it, Steven.
He's not going to be suspended for nothing.
Stop it, Steven. Hasn't being a lifelong sports fan showing you that the leagues govern their own players in a separate way than Deshaun Watson? Come on, bro.
We're not going to sit here and compare Deshaun Watson to Tyreek.
I'm not comparing. What I'm telling you is that the NFL has a right to enforce its own penalties.
He will not serve a game.
Okay. My point is still, Jalen Waddle will out yardage.
You're talking about the man who's publicly said, I'm going to get 2,000 yards this year and win a Super Bowl.
And I love that he said that, because he's deflecting right now with that statement.
Am I here alone? What?
I'm telling you, man, he's taking the pressure off the rest of the team, and that's what a leader's supposed to do. Jalen Waddle will out-receive Tyreek Hill this year. And here's the second reason, probably a little bit more legitimate reason. Tyreek, listen, Jalen's got fresher legs. I'll put it that way.
Cameron,
he's got less tread on his legs.
You're one of my best friends, and I love you. You're a great man, great guy. That is obviously one of the worst takes you have ever had in your entire life. Just want to throw that out there.
You don't think Jalen Waddle?
Want to throw that out there.
You do not think Jalen Waddle has the opportunity to?
There was 500-600 yards between them last year.
I'm asking you a question.
Okay, I'm ready to answer. So ask it one more time so I can hear it clearly.
Do you not think that Jalen Waddle has the ability and the opportunity to be the leading receiver in yards on this team next year?
I'll answer it like this. If Tyreek Hill wasn't on this team, Jalen Waddle would be the number one on almost every other team in the NFL, with the exception of him being on a team with Tyreek Hill or Justin Jefferson. Jalen Waddle would be the number one on any other team. That's how confident I am and how great he is. But with that being said, the ball can only be distributed so much. There's only so many balls to go around during a game. And I'll say this, I think Jalen's going to get more touchdowns than Tyreek. There ain't no way in hell that Jalen's going to have more yards than Tyreek.
But you just started off this little mini segment, by saying that Robbie Chosen's going to have more yards than Jalen Waddle.
I do. I believe that he will be cut. And here was my thought process on that, Cameron. My thought process to that is, if I have the number one and the number two DB on the number one and number two wide receivers in the league, that means there's going to be a number three somewhere playing against a scrub defensive back. In my opinion, the number three this year is going to be Chosen. Now, there's people that argue with me and will say Cedric Wilson or Braxton Berrios, or I've even heard Eric Azukama. Now, let me tell you all something. When it comes down to it, Chosen's going to be the number three here. And that man is going to cook some scrub number threes DBs in this league. It's going to happen. I'm just telling you, that's what's going to be the case. Number one, Tyreek. Number two, Chosen.
And let me clarify. Like, I did not say that Tyreek's going to get more targets. Mm-hmm. I'm saying.
The thing.
I'm not saying Waddle's going to get more targets. I'm saying Waddle's going to get more reception yards.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. All right, number four. Who will, well, it's not number four because I'm going out of order here. Who will lead the team in sacks this year?
Oh, I think it's Jalen Phillips by a wide margin.
You know, it's so tough. Like, I look at Bradley Chubb, I look at Emmanuel Ogbah, and I look at Jalen Phillips, and all three of them are going to be in the running for it, right? And
don't count out Van Ginkel.
My issue with choosing somebody is I don't know what type of defense or scheme and how these guys are going to be used in said scheme. I just don't know what Vic Fangio is going to run. But if I had to make an educated guess, it comes down between two people, Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. I think Vic Fangio has a very great relationship with Bradley Chubb, and I think he wants to see his career flourish, and I think he wants to prove to the haters and everybody that the Dolphins going after Bradley Chubb was the right move, and I'll show you why it was the right move in my defense. But Jalen Phillips, when I hear Jason Taylor say he's the next me, he is my mini me. He, like Jason Taylor, is that he doesn't say that lightly. So I'm just telling you, Phillips and Phillips or what's his face or Bradley Chubb. But I am interested to see what Emmanuel Ogbah does too. That'll be an interesting one as well. What do you think Emmanuel Ogbah does this year?
My expectation for Ogbah is just to set a good edge and contain. Like, there's no telling coming off the injury and having, basically the whole year taken off, how he's going to come back, and especially in a new defense that, he wasn't brought in for. So I don't know. I can't tell you that. Like, he's one of my big question marks for training camp.
So my thought process is he's been up for contracts, or the last year of his contracts. This will be the third time he's done it. He did it after his rookie contract with Cincinnati, if I'm correct, and then also the second time when he got traded here, and now he's doing it again. Well, that year, and he got an extension with us then. But now I look at it and I say, hey, look, for 2 times when he's in a contract year, he has been one of the best players at his position in the league. And I understand he's older, and I understand he's coming off an injury, and I understand he's playing with a lot of dogs. I mean, a lot of dogs in this defense, and they need to eat. So is he going to get lost in the mix? But I believe if he's on the field and gets that opportunity, he's already proven to the people twice in a contract year that he's gonna eat. Unless he gets lost up in Vic Fangio defense, there's no reason for me to doubt him now on that. So I think Pogba's gonna have a big year.
There's no way to get lost because their depth is really thin.
Well, their depth is thin because we don't know what the linebacking crew is gonna like. Emmanuel's a pass rusher. I get that. I understand that, but I got to think they're going to be running 4-2-6s, 2 linebacking sets, having 6 people in the secondary, blitzing one of them a lot. Playing one up in the box that can open field tackle if you need to. Brandon Jones, Javon Holland, one of those 2 guys are going to be going all across the field, back, forth, southwest, doesn't matter, east, west, every which way to Sunday. I'm so excited to see what Brandon Jones and Javon Holland do in this defense. Those guys are going to cook. Those guys are going to eat. And if we don't have at least 4 people in the secondary be up there for the Pro Bowl, although we're not going to be playing in the Pro Bowl this year because we're going to be going to the Super Bowl. Just want everybody to know that. You will not see any Miami Dolphins in Orlando this year. Do not make travel plans to go to Orlando. Dolphins ain't going to be there. They're going to be on their way to the Super Bowl. All right, next question. Who will lead the team in interceptions this year?
That helium is really getting to you.
It's not helium, it's hopium.
Hopium.
Get yourself a bag. We out here.
Xavier Howard.
Really? Did you like what he said in his interview yesterday? He was mad as hell, dude. He's like, these people thinking I'm having a bad year can go kick rocks, man. I'm the best coin. You know what I think it is? I think it's a healthy competition with Jalen Ramsey here. And he doesn't want to be outdone with Ramsey on the team because this is his team, right? You came to me to play with me in Miami. This is my team. Well, I've had the most interceptions in my position the last 5 years.
Listen,
in the league.
Jalen Ramsey is so. Let's put hypothetics here. Jalen Ramsey is going to be matched up on the opposing team's number 1.
Yes.
Right. Xavier Howard, will be on the number 2, and Xavier Howard is going to eat against most number 2s in this league.
All day. And last year, what did he have to do? He had to play against all those number 1s last year. And he had to play with guys that were second and third stringers in that secondary. And so it all was put on him. And of course he had an off season.
Let me ask you this. So what's the over under on interceptions for this team? Go back last 3 years, Steve, and see what this team did in interceptions. Team interceptions. Because I think 2 years ago, 21, right, was when Xavier had 10. Dude, can you just?
Well, last year we intercepted 8 passes.
Yeah, the year before.
I'm trying to find out. Hold on. It doesn't say. Somebody can help me out here. All right, previous season. Here we go. All right, interceptions, defensive interceptions. Look in the chat while I'm looking at this, just in case somebody beats me to it. 14 interceptions the year before. And I got to think the year before that, in 2020, they were even better.
So what was it?
God damn it. 16. Oh, no. 18. So it was 18 3 years ago, 14 2 years ago. Last year it was, what did I say, 7, 8?
So I'm not going to do this to you now, and because you need to go see where Vic Fangio's defenses led in takeaways, interceptions, and fumbles recovered, because that's where his defenses win and what makes them top 5 defenses. So, I think the baseline expectation for interceptions is 12 for this team.
I would say that, and I would pick the over all day on that in this defense. All day. All right, Cameron, just think about it for a second, right? And I'm not here to convince you. I'm trying to get you to everybody to envision this. Jalen on one side, X on the other. Cater Kahoo is the number 3, along with Cam Smith, who's supposed to be a dog, right? And then we still have Brandon Jones and Javon Holland in the safety roles, and they're going to eat. They're going to get
Brandon Jones is not going to be a starter on this team.
But that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Even if he makes the team.
He will make the team. What do you think? He's not going to make the team? Come on now.
I'm just telling you, bro.
I mean, I know our secondary stat. I'm telling you right now, 10 or 11 people in the secondary make the team. It'll be 10 or 11. Between DBs and safety, like DBs and safety.
Your head's going to explode when Noah makes his team.
If Noah makes this goddamn team, Cameron, I swear before Jesus, I will lose my shit. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Lose it.
I know you will.
Steven, you said Cameron had a bad take on shows and having better numbers than Waddle is the worst take I've ever heard on your channel. That sounds like a Pete take. And by the way, the question was, and I got, who will be number 1 and 2 in touchdown receptions, not reception yards, touchdown receptions.
No, that was afterwards, but go ahead.
But that's what okay. So just so y'all know, that's where I'm at. It's Tyreek number 1 and Chosen number 2.
In touchdown receptions?
Touchdown receptions. Tyreek number 1, Chosen number 2. Touchdown receptions. I do remember saying reception yards and getting in that heated debate, but my head was at touchdown receptions because that's what the question was. All right, next question. Who will be critical for the success on offense this year, but his numbers will not show it? Who will be a player that will be very critical for the offense this year, but you won't see it with his numbers? But he'll make an impact on the team. That's a good one. I like that. He's healthy, not hurt. How do you see him being utilized in the offense now that he's not hurt?
Downfield blocking, just like he did last year, even when he was hurt. I'll tell you a story, and I got this firsthand. The first game he played back, I think it was the Chargers game, he had a broken thumb. Mm-hmm. Literally, I was told his thumb, you can move it all the way back to the back of his hand.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
It was dislocated and fractured. They put him in a cast. He said he wasn't going to miss any time, and he didn't. They put him through drills with the cast on. He had to catch the ball, and he had to lock up, meaning pass. He did both. And he went on and had one of his best blocking games, highest rated games that game.
So imagine what he does with a non-broken
my
thumb.
Point is that Alex Ingold is
He's a monster. He's a boss. He's a dog.
Integral part of this offense and their success. the way he lines up in the H-back, the way he lines up in the backfield, and split out wide. And if you need him to throw the ball, he's a more than reliable pass catcher.
You know what I said? So we were talking about the running back situation and the Dalvin Cook stuff, and I was like, to be fair, I would love to see Leonard Fournette here more than I would love to see Dalvin Cook, because we don't have that big back, like, that on 3rd and short and 4th and short that we can hand the ball off to. And the closest thing to that is probably Myles Gaskin at the moment. Again, there's the unknown of A-Chain of what he will be and what he can be. But I was like, he had a broken hand last year, a broken thumb in regards to Ingold. I could totally see him being utilized as like a Lusaka Polite and being on those 3rd and shorts and 4th and shorts, him handing the ball off real quick to that halfback and him going through the line.
But that's not the offense that Mike McDaniel runs.
But if I need a 3rd and 1 or a 3rd and 2 or a 4th and 1 or a 4th and short.
Go back and watch every game last year. How many times did they run the ball?
But he was hurt. There was nobody that could do that last year.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. Like your personnel that you have has to be able to run the plays, right? Mm-hmm. And the plays that they run are off tackle zone scheme running plays.
Sure.
To utilize the speed that they have. They drafted Devin A-Chain to duplicate what Mostert and Wilson bring to the table, and not to run them between tackles.
All right. Next, who will be critical for the success on defense this year, but his numbers will not show it?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. That's a really good question. Probably Raekwon Davis.
I forget who I said on Tuesday.
And I'd say Raekwon Davis because
like him,
they're going to run a lot of 3-4. They're going to, 3 fronts. And he's a big load up front, and he's going to have to take on double teams. More so just like Wilkins did last year. And if this team's going to be successful, they need Raekwon Davis to be a really, really good player this year.
I like that. Win-loss record for the Dolphins and finish. Where will they finish in the AFC East?
God, did you see that horrific USA Today predictions yesterday?
Oh my God, it was so bad. So bad.
They had the Browns winning their division. You shitting me right now?
And by the way, Dan Mitchell, Bills podcaster, who I like Dan, had the Jacksonville Jaguars being the number 1 team in the AFC this year, and the Dolphins not even making the playoffs.
No, didn't he have them getting the last wild card spot?
No.
I think the USA Today had the Dolphins at 11-6, right?
I think so. That sounds right.
And they have the Jets.
I was more hung up on Dan Mitchell not putting the Dolphins in and having Jacksonville at 1.
They had the Jets at 12-5, and the Bills at 13-4, if I'm not mistaken, right? Mm-hmm. And so I would say that, and I said this earlier in the year when we talked about this. I really think if the Dolphins stay healthy, they win the division, and I think their final record will be, a 12-5, 13-4 record. They have a really tough schedule. I'll probably
100% on the
move more towards the 12-5 record. I think the Bills regress, and you cannot convince me that Aaron Rodgers is a 5 to 6 game difference at his age 40 year. However,
what did we say when that signing happened? We came up here and we had a whole debate. How many extra wins does one player get you in the NFL? What is his wins above replacement? What is his WAR? And to me, it's 3.
It's 3. So that gives him 10 wins, right? And so let's ask this: is Dalvin Cook even a win above replacement?
He maybe a half game or a game at the most, and that's pushing it.
So you put him at 11 games, winning the Jets.
I'm going to say he's 0.5, but to be fair, I think that backfield's fire. And it's not like they're playing the defense, but the Dolphins' defense, but twice a year. They're going up against some scrub defenses, just to be fair.
Listen, the Jets' defense is no joke. I think they're an 11-win team. I think the Dolphins are a 12-win team. And I think the Bills are maybe a 10 to 11-win team.
Miami's going to finish first. I think that
you got to get these Bills fans off the comments, bro. Like, just bam stuff.
I think the Dolphins will be first. I think the Jets will be second, and I think the Bills will be third. and the Patriots will be 4th. And Miami will end up with 13 wins. That's what I'm very comfortable saying that. Maybe it's 12, but I feel like at 13 is good. All right, surprise player to have success in 2023 on offense and defense. Give me one player from each side of the ball that is just going to show up in the stats and just have a breakout year. Give me a surprise player to have success on offense and defense this year.
All right, so defense, I'll say Cater Kahoo.
I like that one because he's going up against the 3 and 4 wide receivers this year, and he's going to.
I think he plays a lot in this defense. I think he is going to have his fair share of picks. Let's say 5 or 6.
I mean, he could even have higher than that playing against 3s.
And I think
that depends if the quarterback throws to the 3.
And I think he is somebody that this team is lucky to have. On offense, I'm going to say my homeboy Braxton Berrios is going to take. I'd say he takes 3 to the house on special teams. If he does that,
special teams, but I like it.
What's that?
I said I didn't say special teams, but I like it.
He's like listen, it's part of the offense in my mind, and they're receiving the ball and advancing. His work on returns will help this offense tremendously in the position value and field position game. We were atrocious last year.
Last question. What is currently missing from the 2023 roster that adding it would convince you today, if they added it today, would convince you that the Dolphins are guaranteed to make a Super Bowl run? What is currently missing from this roster that adding it would convince you that the Dolphins would make a Super Bowl run? It's a good one. Because you're going through, like I see you processing it.
Say that again.
What is currently missing from this roster?
I think this is an easy question to answer. And that's a all-pro right tackle that can play 17 games. That's to his blind side, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I like it.
Tell me.
Their biggest weakness is hands down offensive line. And it's not even close.
So you ask me the question again and then think about my answer.
What is currently missing from this roster that adding it would convince you the Dolphins would make a Super Bowl run? I like it. I agree.
Because it's like we can fairly say now that Tua stays on the field if he doesn't get hurt, if he doesn't get tackled and hurt, like this team is a much different team. So you have to protect your quarterback, keep him on the field to give this team a chance to make a deep, playoff run, including the Super Bowl. And you asked me the question, what is the missing piece for this team to make a Super Bowl run? And that is a starting right tackle that stays upright for 17 games and is an all-pro, plays an all-pro level.
Yeah, man, I think he is. I think that offensive line is going to be very interesting to see what they do during the regular season. But, I definitely want to see them do bigger stuff. Look at that there, man. Look at those guys.
Hey, so run that back. Can you run that back?
It'll replay on its own.
So look at those 4 guys right there. I'm just going to light up one of the guys in the chat here.
Go ahead.
So the one on the left and the one number 1, number 14 are locks to make the team.
Yes. Mike White and Tua Tagovailoa.
This team is going to keep 3 quarterbacks on the starting Sunday roster.
I would agree with that.
Because there's a new rule this year that you can elevate, your quarterback in case your number 1 and 2 get injured. He can be on the sideline and come and play that game. They didn't have that rule last year.
Interesting. So he doesn't count towards the dress, the 47,
Exactly.
48 dress?
Correct.
Does he have to be on the 53?
Yes.
Okay, so he has to be on the 53, but he doesn't count against the 47 dress rule, the 48 dress rule.
Correct.
I like that.
I give every opportunity for number 16 to beat out number 19 in training.
You think James Blackman is going to beat out Skylar Thompson?
I'm doing that.
Pete is going to.
I'm doing that to troll Pete. I'm doing that to troll Pete.
Pete is going to be blasphemy. Pete is saying. I like James Blackman. I think he's going to score a couple touchdowns in the preseason, but
yeah, for the opposing team because he likes to throw.
He does like to throw interceptions.
Yeah.
Look, Pete's take. Pete, you got to donate to the channel to get your. I'm not putting it up there. Nope, not doing it, Pete. Oh man, I love it.
Skylar's arm is overrated. Figueroa says, "How you got to be rated at all to be overrated."
You got to be rated at all to be overrated. Oh, look who's got the orange jersey today.
Show it again.
Your boy, right? Alec Ingold?
Yeah, man.
He's gonna have a big year, huh?
I'm just saying it. He's the Mayo, as someone put in the chat.
I like him a lot. Fullbacks aren't utilized in this league anymore, you know, and it's or a halfback, whatever you want to say.
Well, they're just used differently than what we grew up associating the fullback role as being, right?
Yeah, 100%. What do you think about some of these throwback jerseys that are coming out?
Did you see the Dolphins are like legitimately considering using the throwback because they're full time?
They need to. You know, the fan base would go absolutely bananas if they did that. I want to see orange jerseys though. Give me orange jersey once a year. Once a year. That's all I want. All right, you have a special guest who wants to come say hello.
Well, I don't even know if she's awake, but let me text her and we can keep talking here for a few minutes.
I thought you had already had it planned. All right, so Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. I got about 20 minutes left in the show. So what I'm going to do right now, while we got about 20 minutes left, is I'm just going to drop the link for a couple of people to come on and say hello to me and Cameron. We're getting that. We got a hard out at noon. But if you guys want to come on and tell us how crazy our takes are, or how bad my take is, or how bad Cameron's take is.
Let me ask you this. We talked about Ndamukong Suh. Does this team add a player before the end of training camp?
Before the end of training camp, no. But Ndamukong Suh, is not going to sign before week 9 or whatever the last week he's allowed to sign to be on the roster for the postseason. Which I think is like week 9 or week 10 or something like that. And maybe even as early as week 7, as late as week 10, if I'm correct, somewhere in that range. And if the Dolphins if it's week 9 or 10, if the Dolphins have 2 losses, at the most 3, but only 2, Ndamukong Suh signing here. I've called it. It'll be for $2.5 million, and he will be a Miami Dolphin to finish the year out and make a postseason run. And I'm all about it because his last 3 teams he's played for, he's been to a Super Bowl. The LA Rams, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I hope that we get the luck that the Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got, but nonetheless, I mean, you get Ndamukong Suh, you're making a Super Bowl run. Guaranteed. No, I don't think we make a move for a look. You know, I went over the free agency list earlier.
Pretty thin.
You know, there's actually some decent names that are up there that I'm very surprised. And you got to know there's going to be, like, Keon Crossan for us is going to be a cap casualty. He's not making this 53. He's just not. Not at a $3.5 million cap savings and at the depth that we currently have. So I think he's gone. But as soon as we release him, he'll be picked up. He'll be swooped up by somebody. But with that being said, I mean, the Dolphins have vehemently told us they're good with the offensive line. right? They've told us. Chris Greer has been in the press conference. The fans and you beat reporters are the ones that are worried about the offensive line. We're not. So I don't see them getting an offensive lineman, and that's all I think they really need to do. Would I like them to go after a Leonard Fournette? Yeah, I would, but that's not going to happen because if that was the case, they would have went after Dalvin. But my honest opinion is McDaniel loves A-Chain and wants to see what he can do. So I don't see any other position, with the exception of defensive tackle. Akeem Hicks keeps on coming up in Twitter circles for the Dolphins, and everybody says our tight end is trash, and maybe not, but you got to understand we had a good tight end. We could have re-signed him. He could have stayed here. The Dolphins didn't utilize him that way. So
exactly. So I mean, like the tight end, to me, our tight end room is solid, right? Like because
I think it is because Eric Saubert, and believe it or not, it's a part of the reason I think that is Eric Saubert, right? Like they got their guys that can block, and that's what they wanted. They wanted tight ends who could block, and that's what they brought in.
100%.
So we can say that our tight end room is trash, but our tight end room is exactly what McDaniel wants right now. So, in my opinion, the offensive line is the only thing, and maybe another different style running back to the one that we currently have, just in case you need to change up game plans in the middle of a game because something's not working correctly and you need a big run. I would love to have Leonard Fournette. If we got Leonard Fournette, I would go nuts. But we're good on wide receiver. We're good at quarterback. We're good at tight end. We're defensive tackle maybe, but we can address that halfway through the season with Ndamukong Suh or Akeem Hicks. Let's see how the season plays out before there's those two guys right there are good enough, and I don't think either one of those guys are about making a club for training camp. They want to sit on the couch for the first 2 months. They damn sure don't want to play in this Miami Heat this early. That's for sure. And then linebacker, yeah. You know what I said this week? I said Channing Tindall doesn't make this team. Because I don't know what the linebacking thing's going to be like with Fangio. I just don't know. I think there'll be a lot of 2 linebacker sets in the defense. So where does that leave somebody? Like Andrew Van Ginkel's going to get a lot of playing time, right? Jerome Baker should get playing time.
Should. He's the starter.
He is. But let's be honest with ourselves, Cameron. Let's be honest with ourselves. If it wasn't for his big ass contract, if Jerome Baker was making $3 million this year, he would be. I don't think he'd make the squad.
Dude, he led the team in tackles 2 years ago.
I just don't know if he's good enough to be in a Fangio defense.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
But he led the team in tackles 2 years ago. They brought in David Long this year.
Yep.
Baker and Long are side-to-side guys. Like
David Long is better than him, but David has. Here's where Jerome could play. David Long has an injury bug or has an injury history. So if David Long gets hurt, yes, Jerome will get a lot more playing time. But I'm telling you right now, his snap count goes down this year tremendously.
Jerome Baker?
Yes, significantly.
Who's going to take his snaps?
I'm telling you, I think they're going to do 2 linebacker sets. So in my opinion,
those 2 linebackers
are going to be Andrew Van Ginkel, David Long.
No way. No. Van Ginkel cannot cover side to side like Baker.
You don't need that when you have 6 defensive backs, Cameron.
Oh my Lord. You don't even I'm sorry, Steven. Go study Vic Fangio's defense because he plays his own.
He's already
defense.
said he's not running the same defense that he's run in years past, that it's going to be totally new.
Bro, Baker and Long are your primary linebackers. Van Ginkel provides backup depth for Jalen Phillips. Van Ginkel isn't starting over Baker or David Long.
I never said he was starting. I just think he's going to get more snaps. I think Jerome starts. I'm not saying he's not. But throughout the course of the game, Look, you bring up the stat of he led the team in tackles for what, 2 out of the last 3 years or 3 out of the last 4, something like that. He was also like number 27 or 30 in those situations for each team's leading tackler. He was at the bottom of the league, significantly lower than the half or the upper echelon of the league.
Of what?
Wasn't even close.
Overall tackles?
Yes. Go look at every team's leading tacklers over the last 3 years that he led. He was at the bottom.
Dude, if he led this team in tackles and he was at the bottom or the bottom third in tackles against
we looked
all
it up.
other leading tacklers.
People who watch my show, did we not look it up?
Bro,
did we not look it up on this show?
But that isn't a description or validation, negative or positively, about the player. It is about the defense.
Fair, right? I'll concede to that notion. But let's get something straight. Number one, who was the first phone call that Fangio called? What was his first phone call this offseason? Or the moment he signed on the dotted line, what was his first call? Andrew Van Ginkel. Hello? He knew what he wanted.
Because he can play on his team, but that doesn't mean he's going to start over Baker or get more snaps.
I said he's going to have a higher snap count than Jerome Baker. Hot take. Andrew Van Ginkel will have a higher snap count than Jerome Baker this year,
barring injury. So if both players play 17 games, you're saying AVG is going to get more snaps than
yes. Yep.
Jerome Baker.
Yes.
I'm sure glad training camp is going on now and none of these players are listening to you.
I love it. I love it, man. Look, I just think that Fangio likes Ginkel a lot. And I think you think that too. And here's the wild card in this, right, Cameron? Your statement was dead on accurate that Jerome Baker would fit perfectly in the style defense that Fangio has run in the past. But when he got up in his introductory press conference, he clearly stated, guys, don't be used to the defense I've run in the past. I'm going to go about things a lot differently. I've watched game film of the entire NFL for the last year, so I got a lot of new schemes and a lot of new things I'm going to be running. And so he said that clear as day in his introductory press conference. So we can sit here and say, yes, Jerome Baker would fit in a Vic Fangio defense, but Vic Fangio's told us it's not going to be his typical defense.
But you're still going to think that Van Ginkel is going to outsnap Jerome Baker, barring injury.
All right. So it's funny. You said that there's going to be 4 people on the line this year, right?
I didn't say that. I said 3.
Okay. So, you said 3. Okay. So you said Jalen Phillips, Christian Wilkins, and Raekwon Davis backing up Wilkins, and then Bradley Chubb on the other side.
Who's going to be your start? Who's going to be starting the starting front?
That's what I'm asking. I just said that. I said Jalen Phillips, Christian Wilkins, Bradley Chubb, Manuel Agba. Who's on that left side or the other side?
Raekwon Davis, Christian Wilkins, and Seiler. Those are your 3 front. Then on the outside, you've got Agba and you've got Phillips.
All right. So what you're saying is they don't have their hand on the ground, but they'll be at the line of scrimmage rushing the quarterback.
Hand in the ground, Raekwon, Christian, Seiler.
Okay.
On the outside,
there's 3.
Jalen Phillips,
4,
and Emmanuel Agba.
5. Okay. Give me your next level.
In the middle would be David Long and Jerome Baker.
Okay.
And you got Jalen Ramsey. You've got Xavier Howard. You've got Deshaun Elliott. And you've got Javon Holland.
You think with the defensive backs that we have on this football team that we are going to sit here and run 4 defensive backs only? Are you crazy, Cameron?
How many fingers did you just put up, Steven?
right here. So here, when I got to here is when he started naming defensive backs, sir. 1, 2, 3, 11 is 4. 4.
So
no way. There's at least 5 DBs on the field with this team.
Stop it, Steven. Stop it, Steven.
At all times.
Stop it, Steven. Way to jump to conclusions. That's your base. That's your base defense.
But they're not running a base defense, Cameron.
Stop it, Steven. That's your base defense. You take off either Agba, or Phillips and replace them with a defensive back. Cater Kahoo, whoever.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yep.
So you got 5 on the field. You replace, if you add another defensive back, you replace Phillips or you replace Tyler, whichever it is. Those guys are interchangeable on the front.
Can I say something real quick?
Then you've got 6 defensive backs.
Hmm?
When you look at a depth chart, Steven, you've got a list, the typical 3-4 defense was 3, 4, and 5, right? Mm-hmm. And then you that's all I'm saying is that you those are your listed starters. It doesn't mean they're going to get the most snap counts. It doesn't mean they're going to be, that this team is not going to run 5 and 6 defensive backfield.
All right.
Right?
Yep. I hear you. Do we have a special guest?
Hold on. I'm going to stop the cam.
We can still hear you, just so you know.
I'm crying. Hold up. Hi. Oh my God. Hi. I miss you guys so much. And I literally can't wait for the next season because I feel like I'm going to beat you guys even more.
No, that's not happening. I prepared this year to beat you. No, it's not going down like that.
I'm going to be honest with you. It's not happening. I'm definitely winning. I don't care what you say. It's happening. I'm prepared. I'm actually trying to watch football this
it's not
season.
Going down like that. It's not going down.
It's going down. No. It's going down. We're super excited. We know that you guys are going to lose. Whoever you decide to have on at that time. And it's going to be very exciting. I'm going to be on a new show coming out in 2 months.
Oh, can you name the show or at least the network? Say the network. Just give me a hint. What does the network logo look like? Does it have feathers?
It starts with an M.
TV. Or it could be MSN. Or
definitely
it could
not MSN, but definitely MTV.
It could be MSN NBC. Okay.
No, it's definitely you'll see me on MCB. I can't say for what show yet. It's gonna be very interesting and hopefully another show by next year. So I'm super excited about that.
For those of you who don't know, and everybody should because you all watch the show all the time and have for years, Tamaris was on the HBO show
F-Boy Island, which just got bought out by the CW.
Did it really?
Yeah, so we're on the CW now. Season 1 is now streaming for free on the CW. Season 2, which is my season, will be streaming out the next few months. They're coming out with an F Girl Island because of what I did, guys. Because I'm.
Are you gonna be the F Girl on the?
I don't know. We don't know that. We don't know what's going on in that world.
Hey, look, I'm just saying, you out here changing the game, Tamaris. That's all I know. But what you will not change, or what will change, let me say that, is you not being in first place again this year. That's not going to happen picking games. So just so you know, last year, Tamaris, and I say this very quietly, beat me and Cameron in picking games last year. Killed me. So if y'all want to bet, pick Tamaris's teams because I want to say she had like a 67 or close to 70% rate on picking games last year. Straight up, not the points.
Also, didn't watch a single show. Didn't watch a single. I mean, not a show.
Tamaris.
That's how much I don't know it.
This is the NFL. Tamaris, the NFL is not scripted, despite what people try to say on Twitter. It is not scripted.
Listen. So they say. But on Twitter, they say something different. But for the games,
you believe everything you read on Twitter, Tamaris?
Huh?
You believe everything you read on Twitter?
I'm on Thread now.
You're on Threads.
Threads.
I've left X. I am now on Threads.
Yeah.
I have to get a thread. I haven't gotten a thread yet. Maybe I
It's
should.
so easy. It
Maybe I'll
literally
do it
connects
for
to your Instagram. Can someone help him and get him set up today? We need
Threads.
you on Threads. People need to know about clock blockers on Threads. Okay. Let's go. And any donations, like what's going on? What's happening right now? And I see usually I'm here. Usually I'm here and I see all these people donating stuff. I see no donations. I don't even see $5. Give me $1. Can someone give me $1 for next season? I'm very confused. But I am gonna let you guys go.
All right, so you're down. So this new show, are you gonna have to be up in New York or LA when it starts debuting?
I'm not really sure yet because I may or may not be filming for another show once it comes out. So if I am filming, I'll be in LA. I'll be in Malibu.
Ew. Well, the reason I asked that is because we have yet to do a game together, and I want you. Are you going to be at the home opener week 3? Are you?
When is that?
September 27th, I think, something like that.
Where's that in Florida?
No, yeah, in Miami.
Yeah.
Sadowski just donated $1.
I might be there. Woo!
So here's $1.
I got $1 from Adam. Let's go, Adam. I'm getting money out here.
Because if you come out, everybody else will come out and they'll be like, "Oh my god!" Because they're not.
You know
coming
what?
out
I will be here if I'm not filming, so I definitely will come out.
You better be at the tailgate. That's all I know.
100%. I'll be at the tailgate.
Okay.
100%.
I'm holding you to it. Don't lie.
I'm gonna bring Cameron back.
Twice last year, you were supposed to be at the tailgate and you didn't come.
Let's not talk about what I could have done and what I should have done and I didn't do.
All right, beat it.
I gotta go. Bye, guys.
Bye, Tamaris.
Yeah, I need another $1, guys.
That's the chaos I live with.
I know, man. You got it so bad. You're the only guy in the house, man.
You're not shitting me.
How do you do it? K Flexin with the $5 donation. K Flexin out here, y'all. He said, I'm only donating because she said it and I want her to know my name. Tell her to come back and say K Flexin's name real quick.
Hey, Tamaris!
K Flexin is in the building. Oh, man.
I'll tell her.
Manza Chill said to check Cash App. Check your Cash App. I'm looking at it right now. I don't see anything. From you, Manza. Look, everybody's trying to get it.
You got $5.99.
I got $5.99.
You gotta say thank you, K Flexin.
Thank you, K Flexin, for giving me $5.99. I appreciate you so much. Now I got what? $6.99. Come on, we're making it out here.
Maybe you can go on K Flexin's show.
Yes, maybe.
K Flexin is a YouTuber too. He's actually one of the original Dolphins YouTubers. He's pretty awesome. Manza Chill said, "What's her Cash App?" No, my
What's your Cash App, Tamaris?
I don't have Cash App, but Venmo me. Find me on Instagram. It's Tamaris_SSSS.
Why so many S's?
Because they didn't have Tamaris because there's a company in
So
Europe.
you put at the real Tamaris.
Well, I don't want to change my name. My name has been the same for years.
But the 4 S's, like people are going to get confused.
3 S's for my last name.
Tamaris, real quick, just so you know, I'm a marketing guy. I went to school for marketing. Okay, the 4 S's not working. You need the real Tamaris. Okay,
You went to school for marketing?
I did. It's kind of a big deal. You don't know this? Anyways, get out of here. Whatever. By the way, that Michael Jordan thing in the background is horrible.
The OG. The GOAT.
No, he's not. LeBron James all day.
Whatever.
All day.
Whatever.
I had fun today. Today was fun.
Leave it to Tamaris to get the crowd riled up.
I know, man. Right when we're about to leave. But she will be back on Thursdays when the season starts to pick games again.
That's right.
In the mornings.
And so when we do our live from the training camp with the Falcons mixed training camp, she'll be with me.
When is that?
August 18th and 19th or 15th and 16th, something like that.
Maybe I'll fly down for that.
There you go.
Steven is just bitter that Tua chose MJ over LeBron. No, he didn't. He didn't. K Flexen said, I'll be back on Thursday.
I like the graphics, K Flexen.
K Flexen, I miss you, buddy. Hope you're doing good, man. I'm just playing. Miss you. I'm excited for the season. I'm excited too. K Flexen, DM me and I'll get you on as a guest one of these mornings, man. The people want to hear from you.
Okay, man. When Steven's not at East 32, come on and do your show. Do the show for Steven, the Clock Blockers, live from the tailgate. That'd be cool.
Hey, man. K Flexen, hit me up. We can make that happen. We can definitely make that happen. Tomorrow, Spread Kindness Friday. Alex Dono will be on with me tomorrow and Jason Sarney. So I'll have Alex Dono on, Jason Sarney. Jason Sarney doing that new Dolphins Weekly, which is pretty dope. Love it. Yeah, it's got a lot of cool stuff. So we got a lot of stuff going on here at the podcast network. We're doing big things. Season is beyond us, and we don't care about no Dalvin Cook signing with no other team. So because we're Super Bowl winners anyway. Okay.
Boy, your tune changed in 3 hours, didn't it?
Just a little bit. Hey, by the way, shout out to Nikki Smokes. His birthday is today. Mr. Barstool Sports himself, Nikki Smokes. Texted him, I said, happy birthday, bro. He's like, thank you, man. No. Nikki was getting clowned on Barstool on the rundown because he didn't know who Drew Barrymore and Nicole Kidman was. He's like, why am I supposed to know this?
This generation. Oh, my
This
Lord.
generation. Look here, Nikki. Nikki, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a flashcard, bud. All right? And we're going to hold it up with different girls on there. We're going to say, who is this person? Who is this person? Who is this person? There's going to be a test when it's all said and done.
Miami Music 305. That's MCJB, right?
Miami Music 305 is MCJB. MCJB, I think I can say this. You posted it on Instagram, so I think you're okay with it. Huh?
He's got bars.
He works at the arena in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was a famous singer, wrestler, I don't know, somebody famous. And he takes a picture with her, but he's security, so he probably did it subtly. But after she was very nice and very gracious, took the picture, and then afterwards told security that he was bothering me, and he blasted her on Instagram.
Didn't he get fired because of it?
I didn't know that. Did you? What? I thought you just. I didn't know that happened. I wouldn't have said anything if I knew that. I thought you just got in trouble. I did not know that you got fired for that.
I'm asking the question.
Well, look, we need. He said, "Yeah, I did." What?
Oh.
Are you saying yeah, you did that? You blasted her, or yeah, you got fired? Because if you got fired, we all need to be writing. I got suspended, then fired. Damn.
That's what I thought.
I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to blast you like that. That sucks, bro. Liz Morgan.
Who the hell is Liz Morgan?
Is she a wrestler? I think she's a wrestler for WWE, if I'm correct, or AEW. One of the two. Got fired over Liz Morgan. Everybody go blast her and say, "How you get my man fired for?" WWE, yeah. Everybody needs to go DM this woman and everything and be like, "How you get my man fired in Atlanta? What kind of person are you that you got him fired? How you get fired on your day off, Craig? Huh? Yeah, she's WWE. All right, go blast Liz Morgan. I'm gonna go do it now when I get off the show. All right, tomorrow, Alex Dono, Spread Kindness Friday. A lot of cool stuff coming up, man. Anything else you want to say before you go? Hey, East 32 Tailgreeter, get your tickets.
Man, I'm already getting hitting up. I've got groups already signed up. Man, it's going to be a great season. We've got a lot of good things planned. I've got some other partnerships I'm going to announce closer to the season, but Vaser Sewer is our title sponsor this year for our cerveza, and they'll be at every game, Vaser Sewer, with a booth set right up next to us, so it'd be cool stuff. Got some other things working. Menu's going to be out of sight. I've got something to announce later in the year, so going to be fun, man. Sign up, tailgreeter.com. Search East 32 Dolphins Tailgate. Come join the fun. We'll also be together in Baltimore, and we'll be together in Washington. And I think I'm going to go to the Jets game.
I'm going to the Jets game. I'm going up that morning on the train, and then I'm just going to go back that night on the train. I'm not even going to stay. I'm just going to take the train. Game starts at 3. Take a 7 a.m. train ride. Be up there by 10 or 11. Then
Chef Jew's going to be slinging his cupcakes out there.
Like it. All right, I love you guys. Y'all be good. For Cameron 954 from East 32 Dolphins Tailgate, make sure you guys go get it on Tailgreeter. Me, Stephen D, host of the #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
See ya.
Singing this just to welcome bro. To a time, time to grind, time to shine.